What's going on, Oliver? How are you? Happy Wednesday. Welcome everyone to Call Center Confidence with Cutter and Catt. Mr. Catt, what's up?
I am very well, Mr. Cutter. How are you?
I am great. I'm excited. Every week we are getting somewhat better at what we're doing on our side. You're adding all kinds of cool stuff and cool features. If you're watching this live, welcome, because that means it's maybe on my YouTube channel, which we're going to be working on for us. However, it means that you're either watching this live for the first time ever on the LinkedIn business page for Call Center Confidence with Cutter and Catt, which recently, or the Facebook business page for Call Center Confidence with Cutter and Catt. So welcome wherever you're watching as part of our ecosystem that we've been building.
Yeah, welcome everybody. And I'm watching the live traffic. We've got people watching from our website right now for the very first time since we've officially gone live on the website. How exciting is that, considering where we've come from? Episode 1 was just on your LinkedIn, and now we're everywhere. It's coming at you from every angle.
Which is so fun when it's also painful when you go back and watch a first episode of anything, especially something you did as you're evolving. In prepping the episodes for the podcast, which will be launching. So another way for people to tune in and listen to them after the fact in the audio version, to see that first show and just the tech side of it. And then both of us, we've come a long way. This is episode 11. We still have a long way to go. But definitely fun. Before we dive into stuff, what other new things have you been working on? What do we have going on? You were mentioning something to me about Instagram, just so people can check it out before we dive into some call center confidence-ness.
Yeah, so it's been there for the while. We had like 5 followers. We're growing. We've got like 30 something now on Instagram. Winning at life. So we're now on Instagram. I'm uploading all of our previous episodes. For those of you that are out there, whether you're listening live, online, post live, afterwards, whatever it may be, you can go check out all of our Instagram on IGTV episodes. Hopefully the previous 10 should be there by the end of the week. All of our other previous episodes are on our website. And of course, now one of the great things, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to touch on the website, and I know Jason and I really wanted to kind of push the website, was if you are working in a call center, 9 times out of 10, most of these call centers do not allow you to log on to social media, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever it may be. Now you can log in through a website, no restrictions, unless obviously our website is not whitelisted by your company and you can't get onto any website. However, it means that you now have access on a normal page to catch up with us live or post. It's entirely up to you. So much to talk about, so much to go on. And like you said, episode 11 of what our first series. You know, this could be like series 10 in 5 years' time when we come back to it. I don't know. We'll see where it goes, right?
Who knows where this will be, and you know where this is going to evolve to, and where we wanted to pick up this conversation, which I know that this is a hot topic for both of us. So this is going to be a fun one. We'll see. Well, we have some other topics to talk about. I doubt we're going to get to them today because we're probably just going to go through this. But so we've been talking about everything with the life cycle of a salesperson. Last week, we were talking about, you know, the ongoing education piece, which is super important. This week, what we wanted to focus on was management versus coaching versus mentoring, which are 3 completely different things. And it might not be as simple as you think, as people think for that answer. And I know this is a big struggle for leaders in call centers, whether they're a team lead, a supervisor, a floor manager, branch manager, whatever that looks like for the organization. So what do you think when you hear those three terms in a I don't want to say philosophical, but an activity level? Like, what's the difference between those three to you, Oliver?
So what, you could break them down however you want to break them down. And ironically, this came up in a conversation with myself and a sales group that I'm part of last week over WhatsApp, and the amount of messages going backwards and forwards with everybody's opinion. And I kind of said, guys, look, everybody has their own opinion on what these three topics mean. And that is true, because everybody can look at it in a very different light. The way that I look at it and the way that I kind of break it down, each one is management is your management of a team. It is dealing with your team on the day-to-day. And I hate to use the word management, because obviously you've got management, leadership, coaching, mentoring. You could elongate this however you want to do it. But when you're managing somebody, you're managing their performance, you're managing their skills, you're managing their attendance, you're managing their day-to-day. That's what you come on from a high-level approach, and you look down on, and then, should be it. You promote people, you remove people from the business, whatever it might be, because you are managing them. Coaching them is you are guiding them through the day-to-day. So when you are coaching somebody, I like to look at it two ways. You either do live coaching or you do post-coaching, depending on the call, and especially in a call center environment. There goes my dog. Live coaching is side by side, working with somebody, listening to a call, and either prompting them, nudging them, helping them, or even giving them feedback the minute the call is finished because you're sat next to them. Post-coaching, the one thing about live coaching I don't like is all of a sudden most agents at any given point, the minute you are sat next to them on the phones, they become the best agents since sliced bread. They change, their attitude changes, their positivity changes, and all of a sudden this negative agent that's not sold or delivered for the past 3 weeks, all of a sudden is bang, 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 bang. Look at my stats. So that's why you have your post-coaching and everything else, and you go through live calls with them in a scenario, helping them improve. This is where it gets tricky, and this is where people get confused with coaching and mentoring and leadership and management. Mentoring for me is about how do we achieve the bigger picture, the bigger goal. So where do we want to be in a year's time? Where do we want to be in 2 years' time? And we help them and we guide them and we give people outside guidance. It's not usually a manager, it's not usually a coach that does this. However, it's not unknown that coaches and managers do this as well as their other jobs. So for me, it's usually somebody separate, and we help that person grow, not achieve targets. That's my 2 cents on those kind of areas. What about yours? I mean, do you agree? Do you disagree? What do you think?
I think so. In terms of what we're talking about in the call center environment, I agree with the management. The management is more, I'm the boss, I'm in charge, here's what needs to be done. When it's done, let's say properly with the right intent, then management is what you're saying. It's the operational, it's the admin, it's the systems, it's the processes, it's the stuff that needs to get done. When it's not done right, it's usually the micromanaging, the controlling, where someone's like, I'm the manager and I'm the boss and you work for me. And I'm going to tell you what to do. Like, that mode is usually less productive and, will drive people to leave, right? Like they say, most people leave a job because of their manager, not because of the job or even the pay. And so it's that fine line where people cross over and they drive people nuts because of how they manage and or control. Coaching, I agree with you. Outside of the world of call center management and sales management and leadership, coaching in normal terms, right? Like if I was coaching you individually, like outside of this environment, then coaching is about you already have all the answers in your inside of you, and I've just got to draw those out, right? Like when you're talking about like I'm going to hire a life coach or a business coach, then that coach, they don't have all the answers. They just have lots of questions and they make me think. And then I've got to come up with my own answers. And then I take steps, right? They hold me accountable. What you're talking about in the call center, which is different, which is I'm going to coach you like a coach on the side of the, the soccer, the football pitch, right? Which is like, I'm seeing everything. I'm going to tell you some strategy, but also you have you're the player, you're the professional, you do what you do, and I'm going to guide you. I'm going to tweak things a little bit. I'm going to give you some insight, but you know what to do. For me, then there's mentoring, which outside of the organization and even inside is I have the answers. I'm going to tell you the answers. Right? If I'm mentoring somebody, it's because I know where they need to go. I've been to the top of the mountain and I know how to get there, and I'm going to guide them. Right? That's what we're talking about. And what you reference is a mentor, usually outside of an organization, being that person who's going to help everyone raise their game. Right? Where, let's say, the floor manager was just promoted to floor manager, and they've never been a floor manager before. So this is a new realm, right? And they're kind of hitting the max of what they know in their experience, which is normal for everyone, right? And whatever you have in your life is a result of what you know and what you've done, right? So if you want to get to a new level, you have to get some help and break through the limits and experience that you have. And so I think that mentor is important. And then there's leadership, right? And leaders are about somebody, and that could be any of these categories, where somebody is setting the tone, has the vision, knows where that group or the organization or the individual, where they want to go, and then they're pulling people along with them. And so I think, sometimes the definitions and the words, but I love what you said. So there's management of the task, there's coaching of the individual that's in the moment, in the game. And then there's mentoring of like, how do we get to this next step? How do we get to this next level?
Yeah. And that's, that's the way to sum it up. I mean, I remember going through when I was first in call centers, we had in-house trainers, we had external trainers, we had external educational trainers that came in to give people kind of qualifications and things like that. And in a sense, those people, I mean, back in the day, it was called MVQs for us. It was additional training. I think now it's called apprenticeships in the UK. And they kind of felt like mentors to an extent because they were outside and they wanted us to achieve our potential and kind of get to the next level and get to the next stop. And we offered that out to all of our teams. So, there are ways to do this. And the thing is, as a call center, you need to remember, you don't need to provide all aspects of this. A mentor might be somebody that somebody wants to get outside of the business to achieve something else. It might not be to how do they achieve their sales, because a mentor from outside the business is not going to help them achieve sales. It may help them achieve the mental state in order to go out there and make money. And the way we do that is by achieving sales, by working with your coach. So there's ways of interlinking everything out there, and I'm looking forward to breaking each one of these down and going through every single one of them. But like I said, I know it's a very big topic within call centers about how do you differentiate between the two, and is it important to differentiate? Do we need mentors in businesses? That's a very big open discussion. Just addressing some of the comments. Good evening, Rich. How you doing? Sunny Worcestershire over there, and Trisha is just coming. I saw your comments come up on the screen. And just a reminder, we've got a live link up there, Luma or lu.ma/call center confidence to get your real-time reminders for when we go live each week. So breaking it down, I mean, what do you think of a mentorship program, Jason? Do companies need to provide mentorship within call centers? Should it be something you seek outside of your work environment? Is it something that should be available to somebody? Or is it something that anybody in the business can go and speak to their managers about having a mentor? What do you think about that?
Yes. That's going to be the short answer to all of that. So yes, the answer is yes to all of that. Almost got you to spit your water out your nose. So yes, I think the answer to that is just a yes across the board. As you're listing off options, I'm like, yes, yes, yes. So I think what works really well in organizations of any size, right? We're not just talking like they have 500 agents in a building, for any size, which is an internal official mentor program and mentee program, which is somebody who has achieved a certain level. I see very successful ones where there's a senior salesperson and a new person who's hitting the floor is assigned to them as a mentor, and they're giving some guidance. They're again, the senior rep, the senior salesperson has been and is making it up to the top of the mountain. And so they know what it takes, and so they can help that person. When you're talking about leaders, right? So somebody gets promoted to floor manager. Well, who could mentor them internally and help them because there's the external, which is good. Internal, like you know about the business and the business challenges and the things involved in the real life. I mean, as an outside mentor and coach like you and I, it takes a bit to understand the internal politics, the people, the organization, the structure, the resources. And so you can talk some generals, but it takes a while to understand specifics. So I think internal is important. External is equally important because, again, an organization is where it's at because of what it knows based on what it's been doing and who it has on the team. If you want to be successful, you want to change, you want to grow, you want to do anything different, you have to find somebody who's got a different perspective. They don't necessarily have to be somebody who has built that call center, but they can give you some outside perspective and help in those different ways. I love what you said earlier. It's like these different areas, right? So it doesn't have to just be sales. It could be this one part. And I think all of that is important. And I think also your last bit was, should somebody be able to just go to their manager and say, hey, I want a mentor? And the answer to that is yes. We talked about that 3-4 weeks ago, maybe even longer, where maybe it was one of the first episodes where, as a manager, I think we both agreed that people I appreciate the most and will give my time to the most are the ones who raise their hand and come to me and say, I want help. I want training. I want to get better. I just want to win. And I want the input, the ones who are open and seeking it. In an organization, I've seen it where it's unhealthy, where someone raises their hand and says, I need help, or I'd like a mentor. And the organization is like, you don't need that. Just go sit down and close more deals. Like, you already know what you need to do.
Yeah. And I think you hit the nail on the head there with that. And I couldn't agree with you more when you say, I love the people that hold their hands up and say, hey, I need help. Too many people are afraid to do it because they feel that they're going to be looked down on. And this is a reminder to every single one of you out there. If you feel that you need help, if you feel that you need support in one way or another, it is not a negative. It is not looked down upon. I guarantee it, 100%. And anybody who does look down on you, anybody goes, what do you mean you need help? Honestly, they're not worth the price they're paid to be there. And I mean, I don't want to say the wrong thing at the wrong point, but you shouldn't have a manager that does that.
No,
ever.
Run.
And I don't get me wrong, I've worked with managers that have been like that because all they've been there is, in their mind, they've been there to collect a paycheck. And that is it. We've all seen it. We've all been there. And I guarantee a company that I used to work for, my CEO used to call those people the sunflowers because they would stand tall, they would stand proud, but they block the sun for everybody else underneath them because they have that big sunflower and they don't care about anybody else down there. As long as they're getting the light shone on them and they look good, they don't care. These are the people that we don't want to work for. These are the people that we move on for. And as you said just a few moments ago, it's said that people leave because of management. And I am a firm believer of that. The 3 M's I always stick with: management, money, and motivation. And to be fair, a manager controls all 3 of those at some point. And if you haven't got a manager who's motivated and they're not motivating you, then, maybe it is time to move on and look elsewhere. And maybe an external mentor can help you get to where you want to get to. Or don't be afraid to go and speak to somebody else in the organization that you look up to. One of the jobs that I was very fortunate in when I worked in learning and development in-house for a company, people would come to me and ask me for my help and my guidance, whether it be on the sales floor, whether it be on the CX floor, whether it be in the admin floor, whatever it might be, because they knew the involvement and I was involved in their training. And I knew 90% of the people that walked through the door because me or my team were part of their training at some point. So they felt comfortable coming because we were always circling around. And my CSO at the time would always say, make sure you're visible, make sure you're there, make sure you're present for everybody. And even if it is just walking around the floor, checking in on them, patting them on the back, so they know you, they'll come to you and they'll feel more likely to speak to you. And I think that's one of the big and most important things is you need to be able to feel that you can talk to anybody in those positions. Managers, can you always talk to them? That's the question, Jason. What do you feel about that one?
It depends. So I think that one can be a tough one because it depends on what somebody sees as their role and their duty in that position, right? If they see themselves as a manager and they don't understand either they haven't been empowered to be a leader, a coach, a mentor, or they don't feel like they are, or they haven't connected with that. Because sometimes it's the organization is just putting them in the management box and doesn't help them feel empowered. Some of it is they just haven't gotten there themselves professionally. Then it can be really tough. It could be really tough to go to that manager, which, like I mentioned, could tell you, be like, you don't need more help. Like, what's the problem? Just go back and close more deals. Like, and where you feel like you could be in trouble or get put on the bad list mentally or physically if you raise your hand too many times or you're asking for help. I've seen those managers. So obviously that's not who you want, but sometimes it's just a function of it, right? It's not even anything terrible. It just happens. I think the biggest thing, and this is where I want to talk about this, because I think this is what I see a lot of, is if we look at the different layers within a company of someone in a leadership role, again, could be a team lead who still actively has a quota and has to close deals and is on the phone closing deals, and then has some people there directly supporting in between calls, to floor supervisor, to shift manager, to branch manager, to office manager, like whatever that structure is I think there's different roles and responsibilities for each one, which is where it gets confusing, and who should be doing what, especially based on the definition you gave. Based on that, what do you think or see as where the responsibility changes up, let's say up the chain in leadership?
Right. Okay. So kind of working the way up, and as we go through it, and I think we've both said this over the coming or previous weeks that we've talked about it, is, managers need to know the product and the position inside out in order to have those conversations. Because I think it's important that you should know what the person below you is capable of doing. And I think you even alluded to it last week, is that allows you to, not allow them to pull the wool over your eyes and kind of hold those blind spots. And I think that's a great point. And I know we're both big fans of that. But I think that should kind of go up the chain until you get to kind of your maybe directors or C-suite as we go up there, because there is then a bigger gap as you go through it. But I think in essence, you should always know one up, one down of your position, because if you can work down, let's say your team are off, you need to be able to sometimes fill in those gaps and plug those gaps. And therefore, you're walking the walk and you're showing them that you can do what you're expecting them to do for you. And that goes a long way for credibility. That goes a long way for coaching as well, because then when you coach, you've got the credibility. You've got the ability to turn around and say, I would have done this. And then when they turn around to you, go, well, how many sales did you get? Well, when I was on the floor, I got double what you were getting. You can then turn around with that confidence to say, I've done your job. And that's a big thing. And when I talk about one up, one down, the same way, the reason why you want to know one up is because you are planning for your career. You're planning for your next move. So when your boss goes on vacation, when they go on holiday, when they go on a break, you go, I'll step in and fill that for you. And again, then that gives them the credibility that you know what they do. It shows your management that you're down, showing that you're willing to learn and willing to step up. It goes both ways, and it allows trust to be created. It creates a bond. And both ways, you're setting expectations and people will be able to come to you. And that, I think, is what creates that management, coaching, mentoring, leadership bubble, is when people feel comfortable talking to you. Because if you don't feel comfortable, you're not honest, you're not open, and you won't learn, you won't grow. And it boils back down to what you said, is hold your hands up, Jason. That was your words, and I think you said it best. That's how we do it. And trust and bonds are created by doing all of the above. What do you think to that?
Well, I think that's great. And I love that one up, one down. I myself and others, I've seen others do that very successfully. Never thought about it in those terms, but yeah, I mean, that's the key, is to be able to do it. For myself, I've always moved up in organizations. And so it's very easy to go backwards and to understand enough of the higher level. I think for me, one of the biggest things in this discussion is, if we look at each layer in the org chart, which is, okay, so we got the team leads and so on, is what should each person be doing relative to this management coaching mentoring discussion, and who should be assigned to what. So a team lead, again, so the team lead, or whatever language, or title someone uses, is in the center next to everybody, also has a quota, also closing deals, also active, and then also helping people on the side. That person should just be a coach, right? Not a management, not watching time cards, not watching attendance, not responsible for performance improvement plans, just coaching. It's like the team captain in sports. I'm on the field with you. I've got a game to play, and I'm going to guide you. If you fall down, I'm going to help pick you up, because I'm a leader in our squad, in the game, in the trenches right now. I am here. And then if we move up to the next level, which could be a supervisor, now the supervisor may have some coaching, but you have to be careful. I see a lot of organizations make a supervisor give them management responsibilities of timekeeping, performance improvement plans, consequences, like, let's just call it the bad cop stuff, the operational and or the bad cop. They put that on them. And I feel like that person is still too close to the action. And that person needs to be the coach. They can't be good cop and bad cop. And they should be focused on production, motivation, the good cop, coaching, maybe some mentoring. Then the next layer up, if there's a manager, that manager needs to be sometimes a coach, but mostly a manager, operational. What you want to do, in my experience, is you want to remove the bad cop and the operational and the tasky stuff as far as you can away from the front lines. Because what happens, I see a lot, is that lower level, like closer to the salespeople, leaders get stuck in admin hell and email hell and reporting hell and HR hell of like tracking things and time card hell. And then the troops are dying because nobody's helping them, right? And deals aren't closing because that person isn't focused on the right thing. Instead, they pushed it on, or that person didn't realize what their job is, which is to win the game, right? Imagine, and then I'll let you jump in because I could tell you wanted to jump in. Imagine, let's use the soccer, right? Because we talked about that a few weeks ago, poor England, but it was a good match. But think about the coach on the side in the game. Sorry, he's commenting. I'll just keep going. Imagine that coach in the game, during this match, is having to answer emails and fill out reports and deal with the back office and deal with the business side and deal with HR, like in the game. That would be ridiculous. You never see that, right? They're in coach mode. They should be in coach mode. But I see a lot of organizations that are like, okay, well, you're a manager, so here's all this management ops stuff that you have to deal with. And then who's watching the game and managing it? So are you back? You okay?
Yeah, I'm still alive after that coughing fit. Honestly, the reason why I was laughing is the reason why I was choking is you literally just summed everything up that I preach about every single day. And I just literally want to just get a mic and go, boom, mic drop. That is everything. That, like, what you just summarized is what every call center that I've ever worked for needs to hear. Because, oh God, I'm crying because I was choking. And I think there are so many people that are either going to watch this now that are laughing to themselves, that will chuckle to themselves when they're listening, whatever, whenever. Because, and I know 3 people off the top of my head that will watch this at some point today that will message me later and go, yes, you told me so, right? Because now I have another voice preaching exactly what I say about when management gets too close to the front line. Now, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing because everybody wants to have relationships with the boss. Everybody wants to be in there. And don't get me wrong, you should be walking around as a manager, knowing your team, saying, hey, good morning, how are you? Knowing a little bit about their personal life, because that works. But when it comes to the day-to-day management, that structure that you just dropped is what every single call center I've ever worked for needs to adopt, because they don't. And the thing is, unfortunately, it's not anything that anybody does wrong. It's not anything that anybody aims to do. It just happens because that's the way that business runs. Like, I've worked for some 24-hour call centers that are literally round the clock. So, you know, your supervisors at that level where they should be kind of the managing / kind of supporting / helping, do get stuck in the reeds through coaching, support, and the level down, because there's not the manpower and there's not the staff there. You take that into a BPO world, it's even worse because there's no money there, because everybody is about bums on seats and paying for the headcount that you need. So that's why it's never done intentionally. But if you as a call center manager, you as a call center leader, supervisor, coach, can at least build that structure in the org chart and run it the way that you said it, you will start to pull yourself out of it. But it's how do you get yourself out of it if you're already in it? And that is definitely a conversation for another day, because we need to show you how to lower the ladder and help everybody climb out one at a time and restructure. But for me, I think where you said it best is about the agent level to team leader to supervisor to operations to manager, and as you go up that way. Because I think, I'll give you an example. I went to go and meet a client nearly a year ago, and we had a conversation, and I was at their call center, and I was sat in the site director's office having a meeting with this person, and we were talking about leadership training and how they needed it, how they wanted it, how they needed the support through many different kind of verticals. And every 5 minutes, a frontline agent was knocking on his door, coming in saying, oh, did you get my request for vacation? Oh, did so-and-so speak to you about me taking next week off? Now, don't get me wrong. No one knew who I was. So, you know, there was no kind of expectation. There was no setting for that. But the situation for me was, why are they not going to, and bearing in mind, they had a leader for every 10, then the supervisor for every 10, then a leader for each 3 groups of 10, i.e. an operations manager, then going into a campaign manager, and then going into a call center manager for the product. Then the site director. So you've gone through 3, 4, 5 levels of people to talk about all of this stuff. Now, don't get me wrong, it's conversations, but during the day when you've got site directors and CCMs and managers going out there talking about all of this stuff that's going on, where you've got a day job to do, you've got a day job to deliver. And I think that's one of the biggest things going on about how to solve this, and that is putting that structure in place.
Yeah, I've seen that so many times on the sales and on the operational side, where some of it's just the right expectations aren't set. Sometimes it's just too much of an open door policy. Sometimes people just don't understand. I think what you said a few minutes ago is interesting, where it's not that anyone's doing it wrong or they're doing it on purpose. Yeah. And I think the biggest thing that I'm sure we both see and agree on is that leadership structure and the assignment of tasks and who's managing and who's leading, who's coaching, who's mentoring is unintentional. So it's not intentional where it's like this person is going to be managing this part or doing this task. It's more of like everyone is just figuring it out and everyone just doing what they're doing. And the level above is just doing what they think is best and then assigning stuff to the next level down, not being intentional about, no, I need my coach to be coaching. I don't need them to be giving me reports, especially during the game, right? Yeah. If you have a 1-shift call center and you have like it's 8 to 5, your coach should be coaching the game, not dealing with anything. And what I remember my first sales leadership job that I was thrown into, because the previous leader was fired and I was on the operational side. So here's the funny thing. I didn't even think I was a salesperson at that point. I was hired on the operation side because I didn't want to deal with sales or people because my mind is more operational. And so then they fired the VP of sales. And then the owner's like, okay, well, you're now the VP of sales and ops. And you need to fix this and build a script and build a process and train them and close deals. And I was like, okay, what do I do? And so he worked with me and we built some stuff. But what I came to realize is that between the hours of 8 and 5 every day, it was game time. That's when I helped them close deals. That's when I closed deals myself as the highest like escalation. If somebody needed to talk to somebody, that's what I did. And the way I describe it, I still describe it, it's funny, is for those first 8 hours of the day, it was sales. For the next 4 to 6 hours a day, that's when I did my management stuff. That's when I did my reports after the game. And that's when I put together my stuff. And I was semi-intentional about it, but most organizations, they aren't intentional enough.
So putting you on the spot here with some top cutter tips, what would you recommend for anybody in that type of scenario where, you know, we don't necessarily have a mismatch, but we need to kind of start segregating and how we do that? What kind of tasks, models, theories could you put into practice or that you've done or delivered previously to at least start to give some of the coaches, leaders, supervisors, ops managers a light at the end of the tunnel? How can they do it? How can they start to make that change and that process change to get to where they need to be?
I think one of the biggest keys is to first assess what people are doing. I mean, not always to the time moment where somebody tracks what they're doing every minute of the day. I think that can be excessive, but what are all the tasks? And I've had that when I've been at or helped organizations. Like as I would ask the manager or a supervisor, I want you to write down every single type of thing you do and make me a list. I have to pull this report. I have to respond to this. Every Tuesday, I have to send this email and blah, like everything. And then as an organization, the key is, okay, so what should they be doing as their priority, as their job description, which most of them don't have a job description. So what is the actual roles and responsibilities? And then what do they actually need to do from a management standpoint? And then what can be automated? What can you figure out? What can be done automatically? Or can someone who's not on the field do? Right? HR needs these things. Okay, well, can HR just do it? Like, how do we give HR access to do this so that they're not? And doing that at every single level. Again, I think the primary thing is look at the roles and responsibility. What do you want your team, frontline team lead doing? Yeah. What is their one job? What is their one thing? What is success? And I think that's the key. What is the success metric and their KPI to know this person is winning or not as a team lead? Okay, from there, what's filling their day and getting in the way from them winning? And then how do I shift that stuff? Or how do I adjust the goal of the game? Maybe I'm asking them to do too much and that's not fair, but they need to do things out of bucket A and bucket B. So let's just adjust the goalposts.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And I think that's great. And I think it's a great way of looking at it. It definitely gives some people insight into how we do that. And, you know, create, you know, your roles and accountability model. For those of you out there, some of you know it as a RACI model, where you look at who's responsible, accountable, etc. You know, who you need to keep informed and kind of go through that way. And I think when you have that structure, you can put something in place. But again, a lot of contact centers that I've worked for, and I'm sure many of you out there listening feel the same way, that, you know, some people don't want that theory, they don't want that methodology. It's just get in there, muck in, roll your sleeves up, do what you need to do, and get the job done. You know, quick and dirty rather than you know, methodical and thought out.
Well, and that's where the unintentional versus the intentional, right? Because going back to stuff we've talked about this whole time, off and on for these 11 weeks, is the trend that always persists in sales and pretty much every department, which is, you're good at this, I'm going to promote you, or I need somebody, so I'm going to promote you. Sometimes it's not even just because you're the best. It's like, we're desperate, and so we're going to make this decision and promote you. And so that person's just doing the best they can, but that person's replacing somebody else who got moved up and isn't provided enough support and is doing the best they can, right? Yeah. And so it's not, again, it's not intentional. Very few organizations I see are intentionally just trying to make it difficult on everyone and screw everything up. Yeah, it's I never see that. The truth is that it's unintentional. They just don't. They're not being intentional about the game.
Yeah, no, and that makes perfect sense. And I think sometimes you need to kind of take a step back and look at the unintentional, look at the results, look at what you're achieving, and kind of turn it around into a way that you can come out of it and you can find your own way out. So,
well, and real quick, and this is where, and this is a self-promotional plug for us and people like us, is this is really the value. I mean, you're smiling, and again, I'm saying this, whether it's us or anybody else, and you and I are both professional consultative salespeople. So if someone were to approach us and it's not a good fit, we would tell them. And it's really about helping everybody in general. But here's the thing, and this is the honest truth, is that when you have somebody outside the organization come in and assess things, which is why, I know we both do gap analysis and assessments and kind of look at it before diving in, having that outside party look at it will have that unbiased feeling versus people who are too close to it. And so if you're struggling, if you're watching this or listening to this, and again, whether it's us or it's anybody else, is the key is to just get an outside perspective, right? It's like buying a home and having an inspector inspect the house so you know what you're getting into and what might be wrong with the house, right? Like, unless you're a professional contractor, you pay somebody else to do it, to tell you what's wrong and or what's right. And I think that's a lot of organizations just keep unintentional and then they stay in that loop. So there's the semi plug for us. So what were you going to ask?
No, I like it, and it's always beneficial. Just a quick reminder there, as it comes up on the screen, check out the new Call Center Confidence website for on-demand episodes, live updates at www.callcenterconfidence.com. So that's there, so you can check us out and get all the latest and greatest. So that boils down to the coaching piece. And I want to kind of really want to touch on that, because in your structure, you kind of reference the agents, the coaches, the leaders, the supervisors as you go up. Do you think the sales coaches or the call center coaches that people put into place are semi-accountable, if not the same accountability level as your leaders and your supervisors? Do you have them reporting into your operations? Do you have them reporting into your team leaders of the department? Or would you have them reporting into the call center management? How would you want that? How would you structure something like that? Because there's a lot of companies out there that employ sales coaches now. It's a done deal, especially in the call center environment. A BPO that I'm working with at the moment actually have a call center sales coach per campaign. And they're employed as part of the product, and they work directly with that campaign management rather than the overall functionality of the team. So where would you see that functionality?
I think underneath that top leader that you're talking about, right?
Okay.
Because they're there essentially, like I've been referred to in the past as that like SEAL Team 6, right? Like they're there to make sure everything is successful. And they're as a special resource and weapon of the campaign, right? Of the leader. And it's like, okay, I need you to go train these people. I need you to go do this. I'm going to send you out. And it's really for the ultimate success and KPIs of the organization or of that group or of that campaign, that department, that part of the sales team. And so I think I think it falls under that top person who's looking at it like a battlefield, which is, okay, they're at 10,000 feet, right? Let's say that direct sales director, VP of sales, they're looking at the whole thing from 10, 15,000 feet up. And then they know where they want to deploy these resources to help win. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think that makes perfect sense. I wouldn't really do it any other way. I think for me, having it in that kind of department makes sense, because then they are aligned with everything else that's going on. And I think the alignment is key, because you don't want people singing a completely different message or getting lost. How do you track and how do you manage a sales coach? That's a big piece, because do you hold them accountable the same as your team leaders who are doing your management, who may be doing your mentoring? Because everybody's got a role to play in there. And I think making sure that everybody is accountable for what they're doing is kind of holding you to that success line that you're eventually going to toe.
Yeah. And that's a tough one. How do you measure that? How do you, just like the ongoing education conversation from last week, how do you measure trainers, especially when the trainer hands off somebody, they leave the nest. Now they're responsible for somebody else is responsible. Like who is accountable or responsible for what and when? And I think that sales trainer you're talking about, I mean, it's really an overall. I I mean, it's almost like they're side by side with that top level leader in the KPIs, and success means hitting the numbers, right? And they just do it. And again, it's going to be hard to track unless they're doing individual coaching, unless that trainer coach is assigned to people. It's like, okay, you need to lift up these 20 reps across, all the teams. You're assigned to these and you need to get them better, right? And then that's more like a personal trainer, which is you need to get them stronger, better, faster. And you're measured on that.
Somebody like a personal trainer that I definitely do not go to. Just prefer to have beer and lots of food in
That's awesome.
No, exactly. So, all right. Okay. So let's, we've really touched on the management, the coaching, the mentoring piece. Again, we could talk about this for hours. Guys, please put your questions in there if you've got any questions in regards to what we're talking about, because these three key topics are something that we are definitely going to keep coming back to and keep circling back to, because people keep asking about these three areas specifically and understanding the difference. So when it comes to those types of three roles, obviously, they still need to maintain a healthy level of fun competition, regardless of the management, the leadership, the mentoring, and the coaching. That's something that every call center needs to drive. It's something that every office needs to drive to keep that, as we go back to it, motivation up. What do you think is important when it comes on to something like this and making sure that call centers provide this type of environment to their call center teams? How do we stay on top of it? How do we make sure it's adequate, it's enough, and we're not just doing it for a checkbox exercise?
Oh, that's such a loaded question, or such a full question and answer.
So many people talking, just give you time to.
I think one of the biggest things, obviously, and this would be no surprise that I'll say this, is that it's got to be authentic to the company, to the culture of the company, and to the culture of the sales team. I see a lot of times where somebody's trying to do something that's fun, provide healthy competition, but they're just pulling ideas, and it's not like they basically, it's almost like they bought a catalog of ideas, rainy day activities, and then they're just doing these things, but it doesn't fit, right? It's not natural. They don't enjoy it. Right. I've seen that fail many times. I'll speak for myself. I'm not always fun when it comes to management and leadership. I'm weird. I think people should just work, especially when they have a compensation plan that pays them more. And so I'm not motivated by games. So it's hard for me to be the fun, game leader in the competition, because just do it. That's what you're getting paid for. And that's where you can make more money. Just do it more. So I usually assign someone. It's funny, super funny side note. And this goes into kind of your answers, like question, how do you do that? Is what I learned early on in that first sales leadership role is I was not fun. I'm an operational dude. I think it's true. I admit it. Anybody watching this now or the replay, they'll be like, yeah, he's not very fun. I'm not the one playing games. I'm love chatting with everyone. I love supporting. I love ringing the bell. I want to celebrate what they're doing, but organizing games is not my thing. What I learned, I had this one guy who was kind of the team lead. He stepped up as the team lead in that very first sales organization I was at. And so what I did was I got a budget from the CEO, and then I made Ben the cruise director. That's what I called him, because he was always organizing after work activities, in work events, wanting to order pizza, wanting to do bowling nights. And me as a manager, I didn't want to socialize. I didn't want to go out and then break that barrier of good cop, bad cop. But I would literally just be like, Ben, motivate the team, have fun. You're the official cruise director. And in every organization I've been a part of, I always find that person. I say, you are fun. Here's some money. Here's the metrics. Go. And you're laughing, but it's true.
You're fun. I'm not. Cash, go.
That's it. Yeah. But that's me being authentic, right? And I'll run games and I'll do some stuff, but I just know what the team may want and who could provide it better. And myself, I'm usually more on the operational management side, right? On the management leadership, instead of right there with them. So I think that's one of the keys. I think you also have to be careful, and I want to know your input, is when you do healthy, fun competitions and teams, it can be really hard sometimes to structure something where everyone has a chance to win, because generally there's the top reps in any sales group and organization that will just always dominate. And then everyone else just gives up or is actually demotivated because they just always lose, right? Look at sports. There's teams that are always winning and everyone else is just like, here we go again. Like baseball, the Yankees are going to win again. Like, why do we even try?
Italy in the European Cup, for example.
Exactly, right? And so you've got to structure it in such a way, and sports teams try to do that with like caps, salary caps, and all these things because they're trying to level the playing field. So what about you? Since I'm the not fun one and you're obviously the fun one, what do you think?
I'll be your cruise director.
There we go. Sounds good.
So Rich loves the cruise director.
Rich agrees it. Yeah.
I love that. I think it's great because, you know, it's fun, it's entertaining. They got a title. They'll feel special about it. I really like that idea, especially if you're if you don't have time to do it because you've got a million other things on your plate. And you can appoint somebody who's going to deliver it. The only thing on my side that I've witnessed before where somebody has been appointed to be the entertainment cruise director, officer, whatever it might be, is it goes a little bit ski whiff and then they focus more on that than they do on everything else. And, you know, you see them at their desk cutting out cutouts of a board game that they're going to end up doing for the next 3 days just to avoid doing any work. And then, you know, I'm going to create loads of stuff. Cat for cruise director. Thanks, Rich.
There we go.
Yeah, brilliant. Look, in my mind, there are so many ways. Yes, it has to be authentic. Yes, it has to be genuine. Yes, you have to deliver. And yes, it is annoying when the same people win time and time and time again. So for me, it's always about setting the right incentives or the right competitions for the right people. So, you know what? You're always going to have your top performer. I think in a sales role, and you say you don't do it because you're not a fan of it, you don't like it, 100% incentives go a long way, period. Games, money, prizes, gifts. It's a sales environment. It drives people. It's giving extra, even though people can sit back and, well, they're getting commissioned for doing their job. No, it's a bit of fun. It's something else, and it helps. Prize tables, visuals. I worked for a company a couple of years ago that threw money at the sales team. And I was like, wow. Like we were giving away, I think 1 month we were giving away 10, 50-inch TVs per site to give away, right? Because they really wanted to drive sales and for me, that company was incredible. The way they threw money at stuff. I worked for another company back in London that would take every quarter they would do a big event and they had all of the different channels. You had inbound, you had outbound, you had field sales, you had indirect, outside sales, and they would incentivize the top 3 people from each of those different teams would get to go on a big event. And I went on one of them, and it was a UK team. We went to Marbella in Spain, where you've got all your guys driving your Ferraris and all that kind of stuff out there. We went to Spain for 4 days, and we had, don't get me wrong, we did some sales meetings while we were out there, but that was for a couple of hours each day where we could get everyone together, and then it was eat, drink, go out, events that were done for us. They were took to special events out there. They provided tickets to Formula One. They provided tickets to Wimbledon. These are the big ticket items, and that is what really drives everything home. But I know I've gone on a little bit there. You don't want to give it to the same people all the time. And the reason why I talk about this is you've got to find mediums or happy mediums that work for everybody. So for me, it would be something like most improved. You know, you look at your most improved agents that have gone from X to Y. You look at, for example, LMS. LMS is a topic that you and I talk about many, many, many times. How many hours has somebody spent in the LMS, yet also delivered their sales training? So you adding metrics together. So they're delivering sales, but they're continuously learning at the same time, which is why it boils back to a few episodes ago, why it's important to track your LMS metrics. You know, all of these different things, it's not just about top performer. It's not just about most revenue, because 9 times out of 10, it's going to be the same person month in, month out that walks away with, oh, look at that. I've just won my 3rd TV this month.
I've had that. I've had that where it's like, third month in a row, someone's like, I don't need another TV.
Yeah, I actually bought one from one of the top performers who wanted to get rid of it. I was like, I'll take it. I need a new TV. I broke mine last week.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's finding the right metrics to incentivize. I know we're coming up to the end of the episode, so we can talk about what we can implement, the type of games. I mean, there's so many things you can do out there. One of the most funnest things, and just to kind of end this piece on, that I've ever witnessed, it was in a sales organization that I worked for, and they bought in each location, because it was multi-site, inflatable money grabber machines.
Yep.
And you pump the fan in, it's a big box, you get in there and it's kind of grab the cash, right? And it was like, when you got 3 sales in a row, you got to go in the money grabber, and then, depending on the amount of cash you grabbed in the money grabber, then correlated to a prize, whether it be, a bottle of shampoo all the way up to, a day out on a quad bike. It was all of those different kind of fun things. And that's what makes it great. But like that, we can talk about this for a long time. I think it's something we definitely need to pick up. Before we wrap up, though, on this topic, is there anything you want to add to kind of that remit, Jason?
So I don't forget for next time, I think one of the best things that I have done to equal the playing field, because you have the top, you have the middle, you have the bottom, that you don't want the top to win all the time, is one part is to always do the fun and competition around above the metrics, right? So the quota or the line is here. We don't want to pay people to do what they're already being paid to do, right? Not just the comp plan, right? There's a comp plan above, but every organization, for a minimum to keep your job, has some minimum level of performance. If not careful, I see a lot of sales managers and frontline people know that they're losing the game, and they want to essentially bribe people to do what they're supposed to already be doing as a minimum. I'm not talking about that. You always want to be able to do it above. And what you want to do is have reporting tied to it, so that you can say, we did this competition, we got this many more sales for a Tuesday than we normally did. It worked or it didn't, right? Like that, you have to show these metrics, and you're not just playing around. Like, you have to be clear on this. I think one of the best things that I've always done is, based on how somebody does, if the goal is, let's say, 2 sales a day, you do 3 sales, you do 4, you do 5, whatever it is that gets you a raffle ticket or an entry into a drawing, which then means anyone can win. Now, if you're amazing and you do 8 sales in a day, now maybe you've got yourself 5 tickets and somebody else got themselves 1 ticket. You're more likely to win, but anybody can win. And that just levels the chances. And, it just takes one, right? Like, that's it. Just takes one.
Absolutely. I cannot agree with you more there, because when you get this person, if it is going on a tally chart, somebody by 3 days later might turn around and go, Jason's already won that, so what's the point of me even trying? So, yeah, agree. I mean, look at what Rich's comment just come in there. Balance between performance, quality, and compliance metrics, perhaps split into the level with gamification to ensure access and fair for all. They did a big one for Virgin in Manila, and it went down the storm. Need to be careful planning to hit the mark and get results. Golden tickets work well over a period of time. There you go. Yep. Look, you heard it from everyone. But I think that's definitely a topic we will need to pick up on. And I think, just to address a point you touched on there, was making sure that you are actually getting the result you want from the incentive. That's a key point that I would recommend for everybody to take away from that. It's not just about the games, it's about measuring something out of this.
Yes, that's it.
But look, this has been a great one today, Jason. Look, you've dropped like mics, bang, all day long today. A pleasure as always. And just remember, for everybody watching now or post live, there is no call to action. We are doing this to help every single one of you. Yes, we may ramble on about something that we're passionate about, but that's why it doesn't cost you anything. There is no incentive to buy anything from us. All you need to do is follow our company page or sign up for live reminders on one of the links that are in there, which you can drop into lu.ma/call center confidence, and you'll get weekly reminders every time we go live. Or you can join us live on our website, which is callcenterconfidence.com. As always, co-host Mr. Jason Cutter, thank you very much. It has been an absolute diamond working with you today, as always. It is every week. And we'll be back next week for more, won't we?
That's it. Love it. was a blast. We'll see everyone next week.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone.